Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special, very short edition of the Team Venom Wrestling Podcast. It's not a normal episode. This is purely because we've got our normal episode for this week already lined up. However, last night, at time of recording, was Survivor Series. The night before was TNA Turning Point. Both were really good wrestling shows, and we figured we probably should put something out because, I mean, War Games was just tremendous, wasn't it? Really, the men's War Games anyway. The women's one, but we'll get to that. So, firstly, Connor, did you enjoy your evening's worth, your weekend's worth of wrestling?
I very much did. Two great shows. Obviously,
Yeah,
War Games since coming to the main roster has got the almost Royal
it's
Rumble
huge.
level
Yeah,
of excitement for the match. Like
yeah,
you always know it's going to be incredible. The men's one this year was unbelievable. The women's had some flaws, which
yeah,
it's one of those things. It happens. It's the what's the Murphy's Law. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it seemed to have one of those, just some miscommunications, but
There were some cool
happen
things about it, to be fair. But
happens.
like,
Oh, there was, and those nights happen to the best of everyone. So it's not like I'm gonna sit here pointing fingers and get all Vince Russo and Dave Meltzer about it. But
yeah, but
yeah, overall a good weekend. TNA, some nice
yeah.
surprises there, some nice matches.
I
Obviously,
mean, I wasn't
big names
expecting Matt
coming.
Riddle at all.
No,
Don't know about you, especially
no,
as
of
a
course not.
random mystery partner in a six-man tag. Just
Although
bloody Matt Riddle.
I really love the fact that because of the working relationship between the companies, that Zachary Wentz could reference Matt Riddle as the shaman, like they were doing
Yes,
the treehouse segments in NXT.
yeah,
Like it's a nice little throwback. If this means Matt Riddle signs with TNA, that's only good news.
yeah, yeah.
Even if it's a one-off appearance, seeing him in a TNA ring is very cool. We've not seen him in a major company since his departure from WWE, so I really like Matt Riddle. I know you did too.
Yeah.
Was one of those that when you see the release list and you see that name, you're kind of like, really?
I mean, one of the other people that was shocking to be released from WWE was
It's the
Dolph
current
Ziggler, who's
TNA World
now,
Champ. Exactly.
yeah, who's now
Yeah.
the TNA World Champion, Nick Nemeth, and he had a banger of a match against Eddie Edwards. I mean, I love Eddie Edwards and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Anyway,
friend
I've
of the
been a
channel.
friend of the channel, someone who every time I've met him a few times in real life, genuinely nice bloke. He's gone out of his way to show tremendous kindness to fans and stuff, including my son. My son's Eddie Edwards is his favorite wrestler, and when we went to TNA the other year, we bumped into Eddie outside the venue in Coventry. So my son was all like really struggled to talk to him and everything, was really nervous. So I went over and was talking to him, and because obviously I've met Eddie Edwards a bunch of times, met him in London a couple of times for interviews that we've done for here. We've had lots of phone call interviews, lots of Zoom interviews and stuff. Times where it's been on the conference calls that TNA do. So Eddie Edwards is one that even if he doesn't actually recognise me or remember where he knows me from, he
Yeah,
still
yeah.
has that thing where I'll speak to him and he'll like he knows me from somewhere, which is nice like that.
Yeah, of
So
course.
he was incredibly sound. He took he had like photos with my lad outside the venue and was talking to him for a while, and then the because of it being my son's birthday as well, the press guy from TNA, who's also a friend of the channel, Simon, went and said, "Oh yeah, just give me a second, don't go anywhere." Just as the show was wrapping up on the second day, and he came back and says, "Yeah, Eddie Edwards has said it because they were doing a meet and greet on the stage. Eddie Edwards has said that you can go and have a photo with him up there to Ruben. So Ruben got to go up onto the stage where Moose was there, Rhino was there, Eddie Edwards, Subculture, Hendry, and so Ruben had to go and walk up by all these guys to go and hang out with Eddie Edwards for a few minutes and stuff. It was brilliant. Yeah, genuinely nice bloke. Anyway, I digress. So I was going to talk about the main event. The main event was awesome. They they treated it like it was a full like it was as if it was the biggest singles main event match that they'd had all year in terms of how the match itself was booked
Yes.
and the near falls, the the thing of kicking out of each other's finishes after like interference and all that. They properly booked it like they that match was booked with epic proportions and didn't disappoint. And in the end, it came down to a close line from help from JBL that helped Nick Nemeth secure the title victory. Um, and yeah, it was great. I can't say enough good things about the Turning Point. I thought it was a really good show from top to bottom. The whole card was great. But as much as we talked about Turning Point, the main reason that anyone will be listening to this, because it is one of the big four pay-per-views in the wrestling world, was Survivor Series. Because Survivor Series is one of the biggest shows of the year out of any company. The WWE's Big Four, the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, those four are huge levels. There's huge levels of excitement going into all of those. The matches are the biggest matches that they could put on out of all of the shows. And I thought this year's Survivor Series was just fantastic.
Yeah, it really was. From seeing Nakamura return,
Yes.
he's
Uh,
got he's come back. He's got a new gimmick, which by the way is incredible already.
for the last
And
7 years, my ringtone on my phone has been Nakamura's theme, the
yeah,
original one, the Rising Sun thing. I might
yeah,
have to update it to that new, slight semi gothy version of it that they've just started
yeah,
using. But
it's good. And immediately he's got the title
yeah,
because former creative minds in the company, I think is a good way to word it,
yeah,
um, would, start
he,
looking like there was stock going into Nakamura, and
and
then
then it
as
was
soon
gone.
as he was put in in some kind of title picture for the most part, he'd
Yeah.
lose.
Have you
And
noticed that like the mid card titles like the US seem a lot higher, like of a lot higher value than they did
they
say
mean
5 years
something.
ago? Yeah,
Yeah, because now I think the person in charge of the shows knows that those titles are stepping stones
yeah,
for there's a very small percentage of people who get to the top without holding one of those titles.
yeah,
Triple H was one of those people. Like he held the Intercontinental title
yeah.
before he was
Yeah, The Rock, Austin, they all have Bret Hart,
exactly
Shawn Michaels, all intercontinental champions before the
exactly.
main. Diesel as well.
Hmm.
He had like a proper meteoric rise in '94 and hit up all of them on the way. Kurt Angle was WWF champion within a year of his debut and held the intercontinental
Yeah,
along the way
European
there.
and Intercontinental at the same time.
Eurocontinental, as he used to call it. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I love the European title.
Yeah, I really miss that belt. That was so good. That's such a good looking belt as
It's
well.
a the fact we never got that belt in NXT UK is mental.
Yeah.
But we
Even if it
digress.
was, yeah, yeah. You know what?
That's a whole other show.
That's a short for YouTube for us. Just that one line.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nakamura winning the US title is just awesome. I'm so glad that's happened, and I do hope the problem WWE have got at the moment, which is mad for saying how the perception was the other way around a few years back, is that they've got too many top
Stars.
level stars versus titles,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
mad because the amount of
But
times when you've gone, oh, you can see the world title picture being diluted because they and stuff, and now it's like the guys that they're putting the belts on should have the titles for ages. Like Cody Rhodes' title reign, I would fully endorse that going all the way to Mania and beyond.
yeah.
And same with Gunther's at the moment.
Well,
They're
that's the
both
thing. I
people
think
that
uh Gunther's title reign
I
should
think,
go
yeah,
along purely because the others have, what was it, 666 days as Continental
yeah,
Champion, 800 plus days as NXT UK Champion.
yeah,
So I think Gunther probably needs to hit almost a year,
yeah, yeah,
if not more, as world champion. WWE championship, Cody, he had 2.5 years of chasing the title.
yeah,
So he needs to be a decent reign, otherwise the story was for nothing.
yeah. And
Um,
there's like, at the moment the WWE main event scene. I think the WWE's main event picture is the most star powered it's been in years. I mean, like LA Knights just lost the the United States Championship, but he's been flirting with the main event for a while. Challenged Reigns unsuccessfully a few times when Reigns was undisputed champion. But it's that the level at like LA Knight, he's on that the verge of that. He's someone that could be perceived as a world champion in WWE. I know he was a world champion elsewhere. He was the NWA champion. He was the TNA champion. Also, friend of the channel. In fact, the listeners won't know, but I am actually wearing an Eli Drake shirt at the moment.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
he physically gave me, which is amazing. I've been like cheap popping all these random connections as much as possible in this without trying.
No, I
But
think you're right though. The fact that there's so many, you are right. There's so many stars now, but
yeah,
I think that is
like
what is making each
WWE
individual.
interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's what's making each individual title seem so much more important because what
Absolutely.
we're not getting, with all due respect, I'm sure you'll agree with where he was at that point. We're not getting Kofi Kingston defending the United States Championship against Zack Ryder, who's won 3 matches in 6 months, right?
Yeah,
Every person going for the Intercontinental and the United States is that caliber that 90% of the time you could go, anyone can walk away with this.
and speaking of which, the Intercontinental title match, because we just talked about the US title and obviously Nakamura winning, Bron Breakker defending it at Survivor Series. I think Bron's had a good enough run with the Intercontinental title in general because he's in his second run that it wouldn't hurt him to have lost the Triple Threat match, and
I don't
that was
think it
one of
would have
those things where
hurt.
any of those could have won.
Oh, they could have. I don't think it would have hurt. I think the only issue there would have been
What
in
next?
this in no in this second reign of
Hmm.
his that this is only his second offense.
Yeah,
And I think that's why it's not going to be dropped until probably Mania,
yeah,
probably against Sheamus. And then I
yeah,
would hope down the line Ludwig Kaiser does take it. I
yeah. Because
think,
Bron's a definite future world champion, and Bron's already at that
oh,
level as
nailed
well.
on.
And that's
Nailed
that's
on.
the good thing. Bro, like we were saying about the roster, Bron's at that level easily. Bron's definitely. You could conceivably see him losing the Intercontinental title on Raw, and then the following week, if he had a match with Gunther, it would it wouldn't be beyond belief for him to win the title. Do you know what I
No, I
mean?
don't. And
That is that
also,
level.
the idea of a full-blown Bron Breakker Gunther feud
Yeah,
pulled out
that'd
my
be great.
veins.
But
My
like
God.
we going back to you saying about how much they're putting an emphasis on the current titles and stuff and the mid tier ones. Let's use the major example of Sami Zayn and Gunther for the
Yeah.
Intercontinental title at Mania. That whole build to that when they had Sami Zayn the other year come up short facing Roman Reigns for the title, but they successfully made Sami Zayn a main event level star at that point as well. When he had that match with Roman and lost in Montreal at Chamber, Sami Zayn was perceived then. Yeah, he's a main event guy. He should be a world champion. Why
I
isn't
mean,
he?
there was a good percentage of fans at that point who thought Sammy was going to be the one
Yeah,
who
yeah.
ends Roman's streak there.
But whereas we were like, yeah, but it's Chamber.
It's
You
too
don't
close to
drop the world
Mania.
title at Chamber.
Yeah, you cannot drop it that close to Mania.
Yeah,
The only time that happens is when you've got like when Rock took it from Punk because they wanted Cena Rock at Mania,
yeah,
but that was never going to be the thing. But yeah, they're making stars out of the mid card
yeah,
just by making them go after the mid card titles. That is something that we haven't seen since the early 2000s.
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
When the US title was reintroduced and you had people like Eddie Guerrero like putting on banger after banger, putting everything into a match to defend
Well,
or
the first three
capture the
champions
mid
were
card.
Eddie Guerrero, Big Show, John Cena.
Yeah,
That was brilliant. Like,
literally a Hall of Fame Mount Rushmore level of caliber
yeah,
people going for the title. And I think that's what we've got now in terms of everyone going for these titles. Like before we had Andrade and Carmelo Hayes chasing LA Knight. I could have comfortably and believably seen either one of those guys walk away with that title.
yeah. And Shinsuke coming out of nowhere and then taking the title as well. I think just reinforces that's how well they're booking that division.
And this version of Nakamura
Oh, he's great.
is already amazing.
Yeah. I hated when they turned him heel And by then,
Yeah.
I mean previous management. They turned him heel and made him like a bit of a chicken shit. And like he was cheating.
Bit of a
Well,
dick kicker.
yeah, he was a dick kicker, but he was cheating more than he should have been. It's like,
Yeah.
I, I get it when they do. I get that heels cheat and all that sort of stuff. But when you've been a babyface for like 10 years and you've been convincingly beating everybody, and you've been at that level, turning heel, and then I always hate it when they do like that regression of, oh yeah, now he's not confident in in his abilities against a randomer on the show, so he's going to
Yeah.
cheat. And you're like, no, he was kicking everyone's out. That's why Stone Cold was working in the 90s. Stone Cold was like face and heel and everything, and would just treat all his opponents exactly the same and just beat the shit out of them. And a lot of people were like that. Triple H, for example, I know he cheated a fair few times when he was champion, but he conceivably believed he could beat everybody. His character believed he could beat everyone. He only cheated when it got to that point of, oh shit, I'm in trouble. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I think
It's
that kind of role, it shouldn't be given away too often. Like,
no,
have a heel, guy every now and then do something heelish to win.
yeah,
Fine. But don't make it because they made it where that seemed to be the only thing Nakamura could do. Like,
yeah,
have that, like, and in my head, this is going to happen, and I hope it happens. When Dominic Mysterio becomes world champion,
yeah,
I want him winning the title by cheating.
yeah.
I want him defending and retaining the titles from cheating
Absolutely. And the way that they
non-stop.
built him, the way that Dom's been built so far, his whole WWE career is perfect for that sort of role because it's
Exactly.
been organic.
Exactly. So you put that on Dom having a world title reign,
Yeah,
perfect. It suits his character perfectly. You give that to Jey Uso when he becomes IC champ for the second time and
yeah,
then does a heel turn, all of a sudden it
yeah,
just doesn't fit. And I think that's the good thing about the wrestling landscape right now is that it's very, very, very few and far between where
yeah,
something is given to a character that doesn't feel right.
yeah. And it's I'm going to go back to the example of Dominic Mysterio. He does the cheating and everything and does all that sort of stuff. Like, that's but he's also got that like he's got that balls of steel sort of edge. Like if
Yeah.
you go, yeah, you're gonna have a match with such and such, like, oh shit, well I'm gonna go and have it. And like the thing with Rey Mysterio, obviously he's in the Hall of Fame, multiple time world champion and everything like that. Dominic Mysterio in both their Mania feuds was absolutely certain he was going to kick the shit out of his dad. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It was like and that's the good thing with that character. They haven't gone, yeah, no, he's gonna. It's like no, he's 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 young enough that they can do that, and
And his
that's
deadbeat dad had to cheat both times to beat Dom. Just saying.
yeah, yeah,
Just
exactly, yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah. Outside
Bad Bunny and
interference and
then
like
two, yeah, and two NFL
both
players.
times, yeah,
Just saying.
yeah, yeah. But we've so what other things happen? Oh, Damian Priest and Gunther, what a great match,
Oh,
and
phenomenal match. I loved that when Finn got involved and cost Damien.
yeah, then
Gunther
Gunther
saw Finn
knocked him out
and
as
just
well.
kicked him right in the
Yeah,
head. Like, I don't need your damn help. Because
yeah,
again, they've given Gunther that character, which is perfect for
yeah.
him. He's
Gunther's
not
heel,
just
and it's
being capitalistic.
yeah,
It's a case
he's
of
heel.
I
He
can do
wants
this
the
on my
worthy
yeah.
opponents. Yeah,
He's like I can do this on my own. What the hell are you doing? Get off. But I
yeah,
also love this because I think Rumble, we're gonna get Damien and Finn in the Rumble, not against each
yeah.
other. I think they're gonna be kept apart. I think it's gonna be Damien versus Judgment Day. So for a while we're gonna get Damien v Dom, Damien v JD, Damien versus Calito,
Do
Damien
you
and
know
Rhea
what?
versus Raquel and Cali. You know what I mean? Like they'll do that, and then I
Yeah.
think Mania will get a special version of Damien Priest versus the Demon.
Do you know what I think might actually happen? And I don't want to happen. I prefer Finn versus. I prefer Damien Priest versus Demon Finn. But I can actually see it being that Damien Priest and Bad Bunny take the tag titles. I can see that happening. I can see, you know what I mean? If they've got
Yeah,
Bad Bunny involvement in everything, I could see that conceivably happening for a short term thing at
I
least.
could see that happening, but I don't think Bad Bunny has more than like a night to spare, really.
No, no, because he's a megastar already.
He is
But it,
literally
But
huge.
when he had that 3 month run before of the build up to him and Damien taking on Miz and Morrison at Mania and everything, he won the 24/7 title and took it everywhere with him. all of his shows, all for his tour, every media appearance he was making, he got that title around his waist. That's the sort of person you want a belt on.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I could absolutely see them doing that just for that free advertising thing as well. But we
We
haven't talked
we
about.
need to talk about the match, man.
I know we've got to talk about the biggest match of the of the year. To be fair, that War Games match, man, that was amazing.
That was
Like I
amazing.
just, it's
The
very difficult to summarize how good that was.
It is the intricacies of the match, the Roman and Punk tension.
I've loved
That
that.
yeah, me too. They didn't give us like tr the trading hands or anything, which you could tell by many times that they were getting in faces. That's
Yeah,
for a future video package.
yep.
Which all for love it. Uh,
Handshake was great.
yeah, handshake was great. Um,
Do you know what I've got to? I've just got to quickly mention this before I forget because it will leave my head. I love the fact that when Punk left, one of his biggest complaints was that Vince McMahon wanted him to make Roman look strong when Roman was on the way
yeah,
up, and he was like,
and
"Yeah,
now that
don't you're gonna just like make Roman look strong. Don't worry about anything else in the match." And that was one of his complaints. And now it's like Punk's made Roman and Roman's made Punk just look like a million bucks. They looked right in general. The overall vibe of them has modern day um, mega powers or modern day two man power trip sort of level
yeah,
of teams of shit. You put those two together, that's it.
yeah,
And
definitely. Like, these two would be a force together, but they can't get on long enough.
yeah, much like the Punk
Absolutely.
and Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar thing when they were doing that of Paul Heyman saying, yeah, the only reason why I never suggested you and Brock teaming up is that your egos are too big that you wouldn't be able to do it. You remember
Yeah,
we had that whole thing in like 2013 or whatever it was,
yeah.
and yeah,
I,
I'm really looking forward to seeing where the Punk Roman Paul Heyman thing goes.
I will say, and this could just because I haven't actually checked for any updates, other than I know one of them. There was a lot of times in the match I thought someone was genuinely hurt.
Yeah,
I thought Jey Uso was really hurt early on because there was a lot of leaning on ropes,
yeah,
a lot of staying down, holding the same thing, but
yeah,
throughout the match, constantly going back to one spot. Jacob Fatu, when he slipped doing the uh, what's it called? The moonsault. You know where he like jumps from the
yeah.
middle rope to the top rope and he slipped and it held his leg. And then you get Jimmy Uso doing the splash off the cell and then going, yeah, I broke my toe.
To be fair,
Of
do you know how he
everything.
lands that? His feet touched the floor before anything else I noticed.
Yeah.
I thought that like it was really impressive. That splash was awesome, and he drove for it, but you could see his feet hit the floor before anything else, and it wasn't down to his form or anything like that. I think it was just because of the
I
angle
think it was
of
just
the table.
gravity.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I could see how he'd break his toes doing
Yeah,
that. Like,
yeah.
but then went on to kick people with it, like in the face. That
I
whole ending,
think
man, that ending sequence, I
the
thought
ending was
was,
incredible. The
yeah.
constant finishes to Solo.
I think
I
the
think
only negative is that means Solo's sort of done for at that level
mm-mm.
for the time being, at
I
least.
don't think it does. I think what this means
He needs to bring
is
someone else in.
maybe not even that.
Yeah,
I think I wouldn't be surprised if the narrative for Solo is, yeah, you beat me, but
it took all five off. Yeah,
yeah, I hit you with a
yeah,
Samoan spike and pinned you. You all had to hit me with your finishing move to pin me.
yeah.
Like I think we've still got Usos versus the Tongans going to happen, which
That's
unfortunately
definitely going to
for
be a Mania thing. That's got to be.
yeah, which unfortunately for the Guns probably means their titles will be dropped because
Unless
I
it doesn't.
think
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be a tag
it
title
doesn't
thing.
have to be
They've both
for the
held the belts.
titles. But my worry is that if we get
You don't want too many
it's
tag matches. I know.
this what I mean, it's a two-night affair in a perfect world. I want both sets of titles defended at Mania. There's going to be very little room for another tag match.
Yeah,
Unless one night just does have two, but then it also depends on what, intricacies of all that jazz. I think Rumble,
yeah,
we're gonna get Roman Solo
yeah.
or Chamber because we could get Roman and Solo in the Rumble match, and then they're brawling so hard they eliminate each other, or they're brawling so hard near the ropes and Punk eliminates them both.
Yes.
Something like that, right? Because
See,
then it adds to. because at some point we're getting Roman Punk. That's
Yes,
nailed on. It's gonna happen for title, not for title, whatever the case
doesn't
is.
matter.
It's
Yeah,
happening. So let's just add little bits to that anyway.
yeah.
And then again, perfect world, Rock Roman Mania.
See,
I oh
you know what I was thinking with this whole Punk Roman thing, how they've been teasing it and all that lot. If The Rock's schedule won't allow him to work Mania, do you go with Punk versus Roman at WrestleMania Night One as the main event? I mean,
not if there's not title involved.
well, yeah, I guess.
That's
But you'd
that's
think that
that's my
Roman would be
problem.
main event by default on the first night because it's Roman.
Not yeah, but not if both world champions are the caliber that
Depends
they
how
are
they
right
do it, like
now
because obviously
with the
last year
length
it
they've
was
got.
well, second night was world title opening, WWE title closing. So depends how they do it.
Oh yeah, obviously only they know what they're going to do. I'm sure they've
Yeah,
got an idea of how they're doing things. We can only speculate. That's what we do. That's why you guys
yeah.
listen. Um, but I think we need a booking. I think an episode at some point of how we would book Roman versus Punk or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well,
Because we started talking about this and got our jowls drooling,
I know,
but
I
we
know.
don't have time,
Do
so
you know
we're
what? That's how I was going to wrap this whole thing. We said to each other beforehand, right, for a little, we'll do a little
5
short piece
minutes.
of this. We're going to do 5 minutes
5
talking
minutes.
about Survivor Series and Turning Point because we've said for this whole podcast we're not going to just focus on current events and all this sort of stuff. The whole podcast series was us just picking a subject and going for it, and we really enjoyed Survivor Series to the point where we felt like we should have like a bit of time talking to each other about it, and therefore 5 minutes, 5, 10 minutes on this, yeah, been half an hour. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening, everyone. Thanks for joining me, Connor. Just realised I didn't even introduce us.
They know who we are by now. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching, listening, all that sort of stuff. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and continue driving up those YouTube views. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you because there's not enough of you listening on Spotify. Um, yeah, thanks. See you all next time.